Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hole in the Wall. We've got a interesting top story tonight. The commander brackets have been shaken up. Wizards has made some changes to what they're calling the beta bracket system, and we're gonna have Nemy say hello, Nemy.
Hello.
Give his live reactions to these changes. Plus, we've got an update on a recent Wizards survey controversy, if you guys remember that from last week, and so much more. But for now, let's dive into today's main topic. Nemy.
That's my name.
The commander brackets have been changed. I'm going to summarize some of this early stuff because I want to get to the changes that have been made and kind of get your organic reactions. You haven't seen any of this stuff yet, have you?
Nope. I know you sent me the article. I was like, I want to save this for the stream.
All right. So basically, they talk about, like, in the beginning, what they did and didn't like about the bracket system initially. So what they did like was how it made finding games a lot easier. You're like, oh, I'm bracket two, and it became pretty quick and easy to create games at conventions. The things that they didn't like about it necessarily, or the main thing, was that brackets didn't really take the intent behind a deck into account. They were just kind of looking at the cards included and saying, okay, like, you go here. But now there's a little bit more focus on intention, like during the deck construction phase. So, bracket 1 is now called Exhibition. And another thing they mentioned real quick before we get into this is that these brackets should like help reflect like player expectations a little bit more and kind of give you a guideline as to what to expect in each bracket, like the kind of gameplay and whatnot. So bracket 1, Exhibition. Players expect decks to prioritize a goal, theme, or an idea over power. Rules around card legality or viable commanders have some flexibility depending on the pod. Win conditions are to be highly thematic or substandard, so like a weird way to win the game. And gameplay is supposed to be an opportunity for each person to kind of show off their creation. Gameplay should last about 9 turns before you win or lose. How do you feel about bracket 1?
I think it adds less of a negative connotation on it, right? Because I know a lot of people like when it came to the bracket system, they thought a Power One deck was kind of like a meme deck. I think it was the biggest one, biggest
Yeah,
like phrase.
yeah,
But essentially, they just changed the wording to make it seem more, again, more of a theme type thing, or show your creative space. Like a lot of you'll see it a lot on what you call it, like content videos of people playing Commander. Like, oh, my deck does X Y Z, or my deck's built around this one mechanic that's silly, and it doesn't necessarily mean the deck is bad. It's just like they say here, a little slower. And I think that's a good space for it to be in. It removes that negative connotation of it being like a bad deck or a meme deck.
yeah. I think that's a really good point. Is that bracket 1 before kind of felt like an afterthought almost. It's like we kind of have to include the meme decks or like the guys in chairs style decks, just because they exist in the format. But now it seems like they have an actual home and kind of have a guideline to help people design like new decks for that bracket. So bracket 2 is called Core. Players are to expect decks to be unoptimized and straightforward, with some cards chosen to maximize creativity or entertainment. Win conditions are to be incremental, telegraphed on the board, and disruptible. Gameplay will be low pressure with an emphasis on social interaction. And gameplay should also be proactive and considerate, letting each deck showcase its plan. Generally, you should expect to play at least 8 turns before you win or lose. I think a lot of people who play the format really actually kind of want to live here in this bracket too. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's that's the whole point of Commander. I feel like this whole like description like describes command like the whole like concept of Commander perfectly. Like it wants you want to have a social format. You want to every deck to do its thing. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, at least for me, is letting each deck showcase its plan. Like giving everybody a chance to play the game instead of like having one strategy absolutely dominate another or put the whole table on
Yeah,
notice.
and I think before, at least in our play group, we were playing with bracket 3 and sometimes bracket 4 decks and ended up taking a lot of suboptimal lines so that our friends could like showcase, everybody could kind of showcase their deck's plan. And I think this new bracket system, including kind of gameplay guidelines, is a really good choice because before it seemed to be more about deck construction, and now it seems to be more focused on how you actually go about playing the game. The point I was trying to make before about playing like this core gameplay style with bracket 3 and bracket 4 decks is sometimes it kind of led to weird play patterns where everyone was just kind of sitting around building a Rube Goldberg machine, and then I'll look over at my opponent to the left's board and be like, "Oh, you have an infinite combo. You can just kill us all right now." And then everybody goes, "Oh," and we all shuffle up and start a new game. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I think a big point here, contention here too, is that they don't mention precons at all, which I think that's really good for everybody. Because for me, I felt it being weird where they had a stand that its own bracket for like your precons, and I mean I know we've harped on it a lot. Modern precons are really good.
Yeah.
like like they add a lot of good reprints. The strategies are really concise. Like the only major contention most people have with them these days is just the land base sucks, and that's kind of to be expected. But the decks you're buying out of the box can do pretty well and step up against a lot of stuff people are building, if not be better. So I think it's cool that they took that verbiage away and had it more towards this is how, like you said, this is how the game is expected to be played at this level versus this is what your deck consists of.
Yeah, and it gives them kind of room to breathe when designing precons, right? Like we talked in the last episode about the Turtles precon being like $70 MSRP. Well, if it's a little bit higher power level with a couple of like expensive reprints in it, maybe power level wise it falls into bracket 3, but now that they're not within that restriction, uh they kind of have room to dance a little bit.
Yeah, and we also brought this up too. Like I know a lot of people build their decks online, but as I used Architect to build my decks, and it will tell you like based on the deck list you put in what it is expected to be bracket wise. And I have a Sephiroth deck that technically is well bracket two, but Goblin, you can profess to this. Like when you played against it, it does not feel like a
Yeah,
bracket two.
no, it does not.
so so it's good that they took out those deck restrictions and made it more of a feeling type thing.
I totally agree. And we'll talk more about that at the end. Bracket 3 is called Upgraded. So players are to expect decks to be powered up with strong synergy and high card quality. And these decks can effectively disrupt their opponents. Game changers that are likely to be value engines or game ending spells, win conditions that can be deployed in one big turn from hand, usually because of steadily accrued resources. Gameplay is to feature many proactive and reactive spells. Generally, you should expect to play at least 6 turns before you win or lose. This is interesting. We're kind of turning into the kind of turned the corner here from bracket 2.
Yeah, and this is, I think this, because I mean it's going to go up in power level as we go along. So this is the spot where it's where the stuff you put in your deck matters, and this is where it starts getting into the actual game changers. Like they don't even mention anything regarding in the first two brackets until we get here. So I think this is a good start from it. But again, still, I think it's good how they describe how they want the games to go versus like your deck has X amount of cards in it.
Yeah, they don't put a number of game changers here. They say the type of game changers that are expected to be used.
So it adds a lot of wiggle room. So it makes you not say forcing you to throw cards in here because with the old system, if you had a bracket one deck but put in four game changers, it was automatically a at least a three. So so it's good that they walked it back a little bit and had more of a description on what they wanted it to look like.
And yet, speaking of bracket 4, they're calling that optimized. Players expect decks to not adhere to the CEDH metagame reserved for bracket 5. Decks are to be lethal, consistent, and fast, designed to take people down as fast as possible. Game changers that are likely to be fast mana, snowballing resource engines, free disruption, and tutors. Win conditions to vary but be efficient and instantaneous. Gameplay to be explosive and powerful, featuring huge threats and efficient disruption to match. Generally, you should expect to be able to play at least 4 turns before you win or lose. I think this is a great way to describe the feeling that I would like at my bracket 4 table.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's meant to be that beefy high power style of gameplay, and this describes it perfectly. And looking back at all the stuff that I've built, I now know that I am nowhere near the bracket four level
Eh,
of deck building.
no, me either.
It's like I get the fact that people want to play like a quicker game and play the high power stuff, but to me that's not where all the fun is. Like I like hanging out with people, so having 4 turns to play a game just seems way too fast. At least at our level of
Yeah, I
typical
think
play.
especially because so many members of our personal play group are new, we're gonna probably live in this like bracket 2, bracket 3 world. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of fun to be had there. Would I like to play at a bracket 4 table? Eventually. I could throw something together, right, that could probably fit this description, if I sat down and really thought about it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like, if I built this, I think there's probably 2 other guys in our play group that have a deck that we would call bracket 4,
Yeah, I would
maybe.
say it's yeah, I would say it's slim pickings. Like 1 or 2 people would have something that equates to this.
Yeah, and it's not a small group. We've had 8 and 10 people, at a night before. So,
Our
bracket,
pods are weird.
yeah, they're so weird. Bracket 5 is CEDH. Players expect decks that are meticulously designed to battle in the CEDH metagame, with the ability to win quickly or generate overwhelming resources, often built using existing CEDH knowledge, tools, and deck lists. Win conditions are to be optimized for efficiency and consistency. Gameplay is to be intricate, advanced with razor thin win margins, or with razor thin margins for error, excuse me. Players prioritize victory over all else. These games could end on any turn. So they give a little bit of their philosophy behind each bracket following that. But before we get into that, how do you feel about these new bracket definitions overall?
I think they're a lot more flexible versus them being rigid with the first go around of the brackets, which I think is a good thing because the like they've said they've wanted it to be a starting point for the conversation, just the rule zero conversation. So it's a lot easier to fit a rubber band or a flexible mold than just giving a straight number. Like this doesn't, you can't just say my deck's a bracket 2 and then that everyone knows what that means. Like you have to explain, show your work essentially. And I think that's the key and the big takeaway from this. Like it's forcing players to kind of explain, not like give their whole deck away, but explain what they're trying to do and things that they have in their deck that would contribute to it.
Yeah, I think this really, in like you said, engenders that rule zero conversation more so than the old system. And I feel like the vibe I got reading these is you can really tell that people that play Commander at multiple levels were involved in creating this list. Like, there are people that play bracket 2 and that's what they like, and you can tell by the way this is designed. There are people that play CEDH and that's what they want to play, and you can tell by the way that these are outlined. I think they did a good job with these overall.
Big fan of it.
So basically, with their philosophies here, I don't want to get too into these. You can read this full article on Magic's website, but one thing I did want to talk about here is they have a little blurb about removing tutor restrictions. Tutors increase consistency and risk homogeny by making games play out the same. When we were building, the original bracket system, we put in guide rails and tutors at the first 3 brackets, citing few tutors. That original benchmark wasn't clear enough, and not all tutors are created equal. Sure, Demonic Tutor is very efficient, but if you're spending 4 mana on Diabolic Tutor, is that really a huge problem? And what counts as a tutor anyway? Is Expedition Map a tutor? Is Tezzeret Artifice Master a tutor? There was confusion around this as well. So after much discussion, the avenue we'd like to take is to remove tutor restrictions from Commander brackets entirely, and rely on game changers to catch the most efficient ones. If you want to play tons of inefficient tutors, it may not make for the most replayable deck, but we don't need a safeguard for that. One of the biggest risks with tutors is enabling combos, but with no game-ending combos in the lower brackets, and turn restrictions listed in each bracket's intent, it helps curb those issues. I agree with this overall. I do think that there's an adage going on in the commander spaces right now where, like, tutors are only as boring as the player that's casting them. And I feel like this philosophy kind of reflects that sentiment.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I I don't think our pod usually plays too many tutors anyway. One, just because for price points, and two, I don't think most people just like the fact of just tutor getting any card you want. I think it kind of, I think a lot of people have their own thoughts and opinions on tutors, so not really much able to say on that. But I think they're fine for what they are. I mean, you shouldn't be able to say your deck is a rated X because you can search a card up. At least that's the way I see it.
Right. Like, if you really get down to it, like, rampant growth is a tutor, right? But, like, nobody's gonna bat an eye if you rampant growth on turn 2, which is arguably stronger in a lot of cases than casting demonic tutor on turn 2, depending on what you go get.
Yeah, so I think they're fine where they are. Every people like them, people don't like them. They're expensive. Some are cheap because they're silly. So I think I think just getting rid of the whole stigma behind them just helps everything out. And who knows, may even make them cheaper in the long run. Now that nobody cares about them.
Yeah. So they're also changing their philosophy on game changers. They say, when we last talked, we added a bunch of game changers based on community feedback. While many of those were good additions, we swung the pendulum a little too far in the direction of too many game changers. Every additional game changer is one more thing people have to track. And one thing it really made clear is that we need some better philosophy around what makes a game changer. Game changers should generally be cards that easily and dramatically warp commander games, allowing players to run away with resources, shift games in ways that many players find unpleasant, block people from playing, efficiently search any of the strongest cards without downside, or have commanders that are highly unfun in casual games. Here are two things that we generally want to get away from for game changers: high mana value cards. If you're spending tons of mana on something in Commander, it's going to be strong. We want to keep the focus on cards that can change the game in the earlier turns, where it can be most frustrating to have somebody run away with the game before people have been able to develop. Legends that are just powerful commanders. The easiest thing to opt out of is someone's commander. If someone says, I want to play Yuriko, you know exactly what that means, and it's easy to prompt a conversation. If something is also wildly powerful in the 99, or simply unfun all around, we're fine leaving it on the list, but power alone isn't a reason to list it as a game changer. So, how do you feel about the philosophy changes before we get into the changes to the changers list?
I like that. I think it's good for overall. Like I said, like if you're going to spend 10 mana for a spell, like it better be something worth spending 10 mana on. Like it's kind of a given at that point. Like if this was the case, like if every high mana card should be a game changer, then Devastator should be on there, right?
Right. But I think what
So
they're saying is they're trying to not put high mana value cards on there
right,
because they're high mana value, you know?
right, yeah. Like so it's good that they steered away from that. And then the legends being powerful commanders, like yeah, I mean it's one of those given things. Like even if you don't really know too much about the format, you can read the card and be like, oh wow, that's super powerful as a commander. So it makes sense. But like having it as a game changer is it's almost like a moot point because like we know it's a good card. It doesn't need to be on here.
Yeah, yeah, it's like redundant. I didn't really think about that. So,
I think it's what like the big thing for both of them. Like of course they're going to be a high mana card's good, and
yeah,
of course this legend's good. So we already know it's good, so we don't need to put it on a list.
we can call these the DOI changes.
Duh.
So, for with that in mind, there are cards coming off of the game changer list. Those cards are Expropriate, Jin-Gitaxias Core Augur, Sway of the Stars, and Vorinclex Voice of Hunger. Any of these jumping out at you as something you want to remain on the game changers list?
Uh, expropriate maybe
Yeah, maybe.
because extra turns is a big thing, and I think that is a little bit different than the other cards that are on the list. I mean, granted, they're all really really good cards, and it's that philosophy of that high mana, but extra turns is kind of over the edge, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite mechanic in probably Magic, honestly. So I would be fine if Expropriate remained on the list, but I could see why they took it off too, since it's 9 mana. And then they also removed some legends that are strongest in the command zone. These are Kennen Bonder Prodigy, Urza High Lord Artificer, Winota Joiner of Forces, and Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow. These are all insane commanders.
Yeah, and again, it's that should have had a V8 moment. Like, yeah, these are really good cards. We don't need to throw them as game changers.
No. And finally, while they don't really fit into any of these categories, we would like to remove Deflecting SWAT and Food Chain noted below. Oh my god. For Deflecting SWAT, while free spells are powerful, it's a notch below free counter magic like Force of Will and Fierce Guardianship. It only hits specific kinds of cards, and it didn't quite fit the description of a game changer. What do you think about Deflecting SWAT coming off of the changers list?
I might actually be able to buy a copy now.
You think it'll go
So
down in price just because it's not a game changer anymore?
it very well could. I mean, that's a big thing why people had it up there, and that card is $50 now.
Yeah,
Gone.
I
Fifty
think it might
dollars.
go up because
I
people are
hope
like,
not.
oh, I can play it in my bracket 2 decks now.
Well, I hope not, because I want a copy real bad, and now that it's
Yeah.
not a game changer, because I like red, and red needs more more cards like this. So it's good
Yes. We have what, this and Bolt Bend, right?
for now. Yeah,
Yeah.
redirect lighting's coming out.
Yeah, yeah. But red needs more stuff like that. That's such a cool mechanic. And then Food Chain is an incredibly powerful combo card. However, because it's a combo card, it doesn't risk causing trouble in the lower brackets anyway. Adding it was sensible because of its pedigree, but as the community noted, the brackets already do a good job of restricting combos, and with that, they're taking Food Chain off of the list. I think that's fine. I could take this or leave this. I think, yeah, it's really only broken in combo decks, so it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, don't care.
So, cards that stayed. Here are some cards that remained on the list that are worth mentioning. Uh, Consecrated Sphinx. Uh, Basically, they say even though it's high mana value, 6 mana is a little bit in the realm of castability, while 7, 8, and 9 are kind of hard to do. And you can kind of take over a game with just a couple triggers of the Sphinx, so it's going to stay on the list. And then Coalition Victory. This makes sense. It's an 8 mana spell, but you literally win the game when you cast it. So, makes sense to me that it's staying on the list. And Panoptic Mirror is a card that they're looking at removing, but because it's a combo card typically, but they want to see what happens in the coming months. Any strong opinions here on any of these three?
The coalition victory makes sense because commander is like the only real format where you can have a 5 color like strategy and have it be efficient. So it makes sense for that to stay. And consecrated sphinx, yeah, it kind of teeters on that middle to high power mana cost. So yeah, it makes sense where they just want to better safe than sorry, leave it up there. And then I don't even care about Panoptic Mirror. So yeah, that's fine.
And then here they have a full list of the changers. We won't go over this here, but again, this is on the article on Magic's website. And then they have a few topics that they talked about at the Commander Summit that they want the community's opinion on. The first is Rhystic Study. They call it an iconic card for the format. Currently, it's a game changer, but they could see a world where it ends up being banned. But right now, kind of like Soul Ring or Command Tower, it's such an iconic card that even though it's kind of got a outsized power level, it's still going to remain legal. What do you think about Rhystic Study sticking in the format?
I think it's fine for what it is. Like it can definitely steal games and run away with stuff just from the value that it that it poses. But yeah, it's getting to that soul ring status where it's just one of the blue cards people run just because it's the blue card. So it's kind of becoming synonymous. So I see the sentiment there. Like they just want to keep the consistency, but at the same time, like I don't have a copy of Ristic Study because again, it's an expensive card, but I think it's fine.
Personally, I hate Rhystic Study. And not just because it's a powerful card that can steal games. Um, Rhystic Study is basically a knowledge check, right? It it asks everyone at the table, do you know that you're supposed to pay the one for Rhystic Study? And if one person at the table says no or option C, I don't want to, um, the player who cast it essentially will get full value off of Ristic Study off of one person at the table, not either understanding how powerful it is or is just unwilling to interact with the card because they don't like it, or they make an alliance with that person and say, "Oh, I'm never going to pay the one. Just enjoy your free hand of cards." And in addition to that, for people who are in the middle of that knowledge spectrum, who I think is probably most commander players, it slows the game down to a snail's pace where every move a player makes, they think, am I going to pay the one on this? Can I? Am I going to pay the one on the first card I cast this turn, but not the second one? And it adds a lot of decision making that players, frankly, just shouldn't be making. But people who are in that valley of knowledge, or that peak of knowledge, however you want to describe the waveform here, um, basically it adds a lot of mental tax to them that I don't feel like they need to be spending just for this card to exist in the format. Like Soul Ring doesn't do that, right? It taps for two.
Yeah, I see the sentiment, but at the same time, like I think it's fine just because it's getting to that stapley level where it's just like I said before, synonymous with the format. So I mean, it's something that just exists. And granted, I mean, you've had more experience than I have, but I think it's fine for what it is, and just forces you to be more cognizant of your opponent's board and realize you're still playing a game at the end of the day.
Yeah, it does teach a good lesson in that. I will give it that. Next is Thassa's Oracle. This is mostly used in CEDH, and the main thing they want to know about Thassa's Oracle is how often is she showing up in your casual commander games. I think I've seen this cast twice in our play group. What are your thoughts on Thassa's Oracle?
Yeah, we only have one player in our pod that plays it, and we've already aired our grievances out with him, so he's switched decks. I mean, it is a very toxic card in my opinion. I don't like it at all, just because it's granted. I mean, it's just an alternate win condition, which is fine to have in theory, but it's just if this is all your deck is trying to do, I mean, it's just kind of silly. Just go play 60 card format if you want something more consistent.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this is really a card for the CEDH players. Like, if you even want to take Thassa's Oracle and lab ban and say, oh, they're banned in bracket 4 and below or bracket 3 and below, like, I think that's okay. But I do think it's a tool that CEDH and bracket 4 players maybe not need, but like and want to use. But also, I'm not one of those players. So for me at my tables, I'd just rather not see it. But that is just our opinion. Next thing is, should there be another bracket? Should there be a bracket between 2 and 3, or a bracket between 3 and 4? Or should we break things down more granularly? I think with the new system, they should just give it time and see how things go. Um, but maybe there should be another bracket. And if there should be, Nemy, where would you put it on the scale?
I honestly don't know because I think they've done a pretty good job with this new level of bracket system. I think it just opens that conversation more to again like just have a good starting point instead of it just saying X Y Z. So like I think it's fine where it is for now, just kind of like a wait and see. I just don't really know what else they could really add to an additional bracket that doesn't really hit these boxes.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. Just give it time, and if there needs to be another one, maybe it should be on the high. Maybe it should be on one of the ends instead of in the middle, like they're thinking about. but time will tell. And the last thing they want to hear about people from is changing how hybrid mana cost works in Commander. So the proposal would be that strictly for the purpose of deck building, you can treat a hybrid symbol as either of its two colors. So cards like Reese the Redeemed could go in a mono green or a mono white deck. And if Reese is your commander, it's a green white deck because she has the hybrid mana symbol. So cards like Deathrite Shaman would remain ineligible for a mono black deck because it has a green mana symbol in the text box. When it comes to two-brid mana cards, two-brid is such a really weird to say, but cards like Beseech the Queen, our inclination would be to let them work the same way so that any deck could play it though if they wanted to. Though that could create more discussion. So what do you think about changing the hybrid mana rules in Commander?
I think that makes things a lot easier for newer players because that's such a weird thing to try to teach players. Like, oh, I have this really cool card. Can I play it in my X deck? No, because your X deck is one color where this has both. So I think that just keeps it more in line with the other formats, uh, and it just keeps a consistency. I think that's a really good change if they were to implement it.
Yeah, my immediate response to this is like, no. And the more I think about it, is like, but why not? I think any card that like creates a problem, um, I I I, I don't know how that would really shake out on a practical level. But I think any card that creates a problem, you could just slap a game changer sticker on it or ban it. And I just say let this rock, you know?
Yeah, and I don't see like I'm sure there's examples. There's always examples with a card pool this big, but I don't see it right off the cuff of it being too much of a big ask. Essentially, like I mean, there'll be cases that'll come up, sure, but it just keeps everything simpler. Like if you have the mana to pay for this card, then sure, why not?
So they wrap up the article by saying they're going to do another check in at the end of February. So allow people to experience this new bracket system over the holiday season and collect data from that and see how it goes. Overall, I'm really excited about this, and I really feel for the devs over at Architect and websites like that. You guys are going to have a really long weekend changing how that bracket calculator works. We had a bit of a kerfuffle, bit of a controversy with a survey that went out to Magic the Gathering players last week. Uh, Nemy, did you get caught up to speed on this? Were you mindlessly scrolling YouTube shorts like I was when this hit the news?
Yeah, and it kind of hit like wildfire. The wording behind the Spider-Man set survey was essentially just well, not really almost, it was blatantly blaming content creators on why the set did poorly or influence negative thoughts to people not liking the set. And it that's just bad. It's very bad form on Wizards' part because at the end of the day, they made the set, so they didn't have to make it as milk toast as they did, and you can't really put that on the people promoting your game, being it good or bad. Like
Yeah.
people have their opinions, and if they don't like the set, I mean they don't like the set, and it's it's you can't just blame your poor decision making and card choices on people that actively promote your game.
Yeah, and in some cases actively promote it for free. Uh, I think the exact wording of the question they have here on this MTG Rocks article is To what degree did negative influencer commentary impact your perceptions of Spider-Man? And if you answered on the higher end of this question, it's been, I don't want to say been scrubbed, but it's not accessible now. I actually took the survey myself trying to find this question. But there is a question immediately following that says, okay, who? And there's a type box for you to type which content creator negatively influenced you on the set. That's basically Wizards headhunting, like you said, looking for specific people to blame for their own product's poor reception. I think really, I mean, I hate to. Well, actually, who am I kidding? I love to puff myself up like this, but I think I was totally right when I said that the product would have been received 100 times better if it was 4 Commander decks and just not a standard set. The product was never designed for that. It didn't have to go that way. And I didn't need Saffron Olive or the Professor to tell me that like this was a rush job that I was largely uninterested in.
Yeah, and a lot of the cards you can just read, and you're just like, oh, okay, okay. Like, what am I going to do with this? So it's their own design and lack thereof that really shot the set in the foot. Like the writings were on the wall, like almost as soon as they started saying no commander decks, like you said. So I don't know why they didn't just treat it like Fallout, where they had the commander decks and collector boosters. Like that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But it's so weird how they tried to shoehorn it into a standard set, and they they paid the price. Just nobody wants it.
Yeah. And it just, as we've said, it's just baffling how big of a fumble this was for Wizards on every level. Even the aftercare, the post set survey was even a flop. Even that didn't go over well. But this was all going on last week. We have an update here. We have a Blue Sky post from Blake PR. This is somebody that does a lot of posting for Wizards on behalf of Magic. It has the question in question here on the screen in his post, and it says, "Hey everyone, it's been a while since I weighed in on something here, but since the influencer team reports up into me, let's talk about this question. And to what degree did negative influencer commentary impact your perceptions on Magic the Gathering Spider-Man before the set was released?" First off, we don't and won't punish creators for having negative opinions of a set, even very negative. We just don't do that. I'd like to think our history of working with creators who have varying opinions of Magic, various sets, and Wizards of the Coast speaks to that. Second, while we always ask about our creator influence, the focus on negative commentary is unusual and not great. We will be talking about it internally. Magic creators are awesome, and they mean so much to Magic. The question gives the opposite impression. That sucks. As some people have pointed out, the question doesn't even make a ton of sense, since negative commentary can't really greatly improve perception unless you're really contrarian. Which, fair. So my guess is some error was made along the way, but I'm looking into that. In short, it's not a good question, but in no way are the results of this particular question going to be used to to attack creators or change our creator strategy. Surveys are taken holistically, and your voices are heard loud and clear. What do you feel about this explanation? To me, this just kind of smacks of we got caught. I don't know. Maybe that's too cynical.
No, I'm in the same boat as you. This is very just, oh shit, we got We got caught. This is our damage control response. Because at the end of the day, they can say whatever they want, but it comes down to their actions. And if anything does come of this, where content creators are getting quote unquote punished, then it's just the question themselves are right. They just got caught essentially. So I don't know. I'm definitely taking this with a grain of salt. Their response, because on paper it's good. Like it sounds great. Like the way he worded how everything is supposed to, how it was supposed to go, how we agree with the community, but the actions speak louder than words. And right now, a lot of people are distrusting WotC. So I guess we'll see. But I wouldn't take it for 100% face value.
Yeah, I want to believe. I'm like Mulder with the UFO poster in my office right here. Like I want to believe that this was just some kind of mistake, but really it seems to me like you are looking for something to point at when investors say, "Why didn't this do as well as Final Fantasy?"
Or when Marvel comes knocking on the door and be like, "Why did you do that? How could you make such a bad set?" And then they go, "Oh, it wasn't us. It was the content
It was
creators.
it was it was the evil Saffron Olive and Pleasant Kenobi. It was them.
it was the youth."
The 30 and 40-year-old youth.
So yeah, it looks like they were just trying to find someone to blame. And it got shared on the internet.
Yep. And if this does turn out not to be sincere, we'll know. Content creators
Yeah.
pretty famous for posting drama. I mean, we're doing it right now, kind of. So
Yeah, so yeah, it's good that they made a response and they made an eloquent response, but take it with a grain of salt. Wait and see. Don't just immediately forgive them for apologizing.
Nemy, I want you to take this one because it's almost Fallout Day.
Crawling out through the fallout. I don't know when this will video will go up. So honestly, by the time it might actually already be Fallout Day. So everybody knows, if you're in the Fallout community, that Fallout Day is October 23rd, which is this Thursday. So it's a celebration from Bethesda every year for the past few years, for when the canonical bombs fell and the world of Fallout truly began. And this year we have a lot of people speculating on what we might see. Um, I know we're going to be talking. They're going to be talking about the show because season 2 of the Fallout show comes out later this year, and a lot of people are assuming that they're going to be hitting that, and the Fallout 76 has been constantly getting updates, so we'll probably see something about that as well. But the biggest rumors are people are waiting to see if we're getting Fallout 3 and even New Vegas remasters, which that would be super hype. You like Fallout? What do you think about this?
I so my experience with the Fallout fandom was I played 1 and 2 a long time ago, and that was like
Damn,
what
you're
I
old.
like. What'd you say?
You're old.
Yeah, I know. That was what I like to call a friend's house game. It's a game where I would go to my friend's house and play it, so I saw a good chunk of it, but I wouldn't say that I would know every nook and cranny, of the first 2 games. And then when Fallout 3 came out, I was pretty excited about it, picked it up, and I had no idea it was going to be a first person game, right? I hadn't seen much marketing for it or anything at all. So I kind of bounced off of it at first, ended up coming back to the series for Fallout 4, and enjoyed that game. But I think my favorite part of the Fallout universe so far has been the TV show. I really enjoyed Amazon's Fallout, the first season.
Yeah, it brought a lot of eyes into the franchise, which is only a good thing. Like it just having more people just look at this world and experience it, even if it's from a different medium, is just awesome. Like I've been a Fallout fan since the early 2000s when Fallout 3 came out, and then that just sparked it, and I've played every one ever since. So it's really cool to see an IP that I'm so fond of and grew up with getting more limelight. And with Bethesda like keeping things close to the chest, I mean, you remember the Oblivion remaster that came out not too long ago.
Yeah.
That kind of stealth launched that, so just gets me more excited to see something like that. I know they haven't really mentioned a Fallout 5, a next iteration in the series, and we probably won't get that for quite a long time because the from the way I understand it, Elder Scrolls 6 is supposed to be coming out before that. And even then, there's been no news on that. So I think a true Fallout sequel is going to be very, very far out. But getting a Fallout 3 or even a New Vegas remaster is like the perfect time. Like so many eyes are on it. Like it's just getting so much mainstream coverage and people are actively enjoying it. Like I don't think many people have said a bad thing about the Fallout series at all. So I think it's a perfect time to strike while the iron's hot and get more people in the games because they just have a huge wave and there's no surfboard to ride it.
I think personally, a New Vegas remaster would be perfect. That's like the direction they're going in the show. If you spoilers for the end of season 1 if you haven't watched a year-old TV program at this point. But that seems to be, it's not confirmed, but seems to be the direction they're going in the show. And personally, I never played 76. I actually own it on Steam, but I can't get it to launch on modern hardware. So I would love a modern version of 76 that I could play.
76 is the most recent one. That's the only
Oh,
one.
New Vegas, New Vegas. I'm so sorry.
We'll cut that out.
No, it's fine. Just leave my stupidity in.
Ignorance.
And then
But yeah,
there's a.
I would
Go ahead.
so much. And if I'm not mistaken, it's Fallout. So it's you got me saying it too.
My bad.
It's New Vegas's 15th anniversary this year too. So like the stars are aligning to where this just makes sense.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. And then speaking of Vegas, there's a Fallout museum.
Yeah. So in in real world Las Vegas, the Atomic Testing Museum, National Atomic Testing Museum, pardon me, is adding a Fallout themed exhibit for the next year. So it's going to have a lot of the costumes and props from the show. It's going to have a lot of the real world references to the Fallout franchise, and just a big interactive like experience to immerse yourself more in the world of Fallout. So if you like it and want to be a part of it and get out to Vegas, it's should sounds really cool. Like it's something that I'm a huge fan of the aesthetic. Like I said, I'm a Fallout fan through and through. So just having more of that in a space where I can just be a part of it and just like kind of immerse myself more than just playing a game, I think is really cool.
Yeah, I love this kind of thing where they kind of combine fiction and reality in a museum setting. This is gonna sound so weird, but last I want to say last spring took the nieces to the horse park, and there was a Umasume exhibit
Yeah.
in the horse museum. So the girls loved it. They wanted to be the pretty horse girls, you know how young ones are.
Hey, and just getting more people out and learning and having fun with their favorite IPs. I think it's really cool. Just getting people out more, and also with especially with something like this, you're seeing essentially how the sausage was made and inspired by. So like everything from like the 40s and 50s, the atomic like what's the word I'm thinking of like research and culture behind it, like seeing how that influences your one of your favorite games and IPs. I think is really cool. So,
Yeah, it's a really cool idea for an exhibit. Last up tonight, we have our moment of Zen. I saw this on Reddit, and actually, I think I'm just gonna turn the audio on and we'll let this rock.
Trying to win a Hello Kitty from the crane machine that strangers were giving him money to keep playing. And pretty soon, the entire restaurant was invested. But after countless dollar bills were spent entertaining this crowd, he finally snags it. And the way these strangers celebrate together is priceless.
I love it, man.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hey, when people can come around something silly like that, it's cool.
Yeah, the whole bar, if you're just listening on audio, if you're across the room doing something, this man is at what appears to be a Buffalo Wild Wings, and he has the whole bar kind of chairs turned around looking at him while he's playing the claw machine. He runs out of money, strangers start handing him dollar bills, and when he finally wins this Hello Kitty plush he's been aiming for, he stands up on the table and raises it in the air, and the crowd cheers. This is like a real life one of those posts where it ends with "and everyone clapped."
Hey, it's people getting behind something as small as this is cool, and that Buffalo Wild Wings made a lot of money off these people. So hey, everybody wins at the end of the day.
Well, honestly, I think that's what the moment of Zen is for. Finding little good, silly, feel-good stories and just weird news in general to share with you guys. But ultimately, I think that's the end of our show tonight. Nemy, you got any final thoughts for the people as we end this jam-packed episode?
Yeah, if you've been following us for the past few weeks, very more uplifting and positive compared to the doom and gloom we were talking about beforehand. So good change of pace in my opinion. But I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to us, even if you're putting us on a side screen. We appreciate everything. And if you want to talk to us, just leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing, let us know what you want to hear about. We'll do our best to accommodate. So let us know.